So we rescued a dog from the Humane Society about 3 years ago now. And he's a wonderful dog. He just has a lot of abuse issues. So how the pieces that we've been able to put together is this. He was born and raised in Hawaii, and Hawaii has a really bad neglect problem where if an owner is an asshole, they just leave their dog outside by themselves for an insane amount of hours because the weather's so nice. They just put the dog outside, close the door, and go about their lives, right? So we think he was pretty neglected as a puppy. He's got like broken teeth, like all his teeth are like broken and messed up. And since we've had him, he's escaped from our backyard 3 times. So we know he has the mentality of an escape artist. So what we think what happened was he was neglected as a puppy, left in the backyard. He ended up getting out and became a stray. And we think to try and like survive, he probably, looted trash cans and stuff like that because he has BB pellets embedded into his skin. So he was clearly like shot at and like abused. He has really bad anxiety when it comes to other animals. So I think he was probably attacked by another dog or something like that when he was a puppy, and he has that residual trauma. So we didn't know any of this when we got him. And it was a really shocking surprise. And it's been very, 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 very tough for us to see him go through all that stuff. And we've put so much effort and so much work into like rehabilitating him. So it was really interesting. My other dog, Reese, we got when he was a puppy, and we wanted Reese to have a brother or a sister. So we went to the Humane Society like 5 or 6 different times, and we introduced 5 or 6 different dogs to Reese, and Reese is really beta. I don't think I'll do this again with my next dog, but we took his balls away like literally the day when Reese started maturing, only 1 testicle dropped. So we had to wait for his second testicle to drop before we could fix him. But pretty much the day he like his second ball dropped, we like ripped those suckers out. So he really didn't have much testosterone flowing through his veins at any point. So like the pro side is that Sullivan or Reese is like so sweet. He's not territorial at all. He gets along with every single person, and he gets along with all dogs and all animals. He's cool with cats. He's just like really, really friendly. The downside was it made him really beta. So he has no like instinct to stand up to other dogs if they are very alpha. So dogs at the Humane Society, a lot of the times they're in a really uncomfortable situation, obviously being in a cage with a bunch of other animals near them. So when they meet other dogs, their first instinct is to be really alpha. And so Reese met like 5 or 6 dogs, because in where I live, it's mandatory before you take a dog home, if there's already a dog in the house, that they have to meet to see if they're compatible. And every single dog like tried to pin and pounce Reese in a really aggressive manner. So we were getting really disheartened. And then I stumbled across Sullivan, and his big ass goofy ears made me smile. And so we met him, and he was super sweet to us, and he was so like into the ball. We were like, oh my gosh, this could totally work. And then Sullivan and Reese met each other, and within 5 minutes they clicked. Like Sullivan was a little aggro. So how they do it is you have your dog on one side of a chain link fence, and then the pound dog comes and they meet through a fence. Like they can sniff and they can like react to each other, right? But you have this like chain link fence like separating them. And Sullivan was a little aggressive, but we came to expect that at this point. You know, he's the 7th dog we've met, but he settled down really quickly. We let Sullivan in the play yard with Reese. They were both on leash, and Reese walked in front of Sullivan. Sullivan smelled his butt, and Reese made no indication that he was like, again, Reese is so beta. He made no indication of like any like aggression or anything like that. And within 30 seconds, like, they let Reese off leash, and so he was running around, and we could see how Sullivan was reacting, and it worked. And then by the end of it, we were there for like 10-15 minutes. They were hanging out, they were running around the yard together, they were sniffing each other, they were totally chilling. And so we were like, oh my God, this is it, it's working, this is great. Fuck yes, we found 2 dogs. They're about the same size. We're so excited. We signed the papers, and literally Reese and Sullivan were in a super confined space. We put them in the back of our Jeep, and they were in the Jeep together, totally chill. So we were mind blown when we realized very quickly how fucking dog aggressive Sullivan is. Like, he is so bad around other animals. At least, I mean, time frame wise, I'm talking about like 2 years ago or 3 years ago when we got him. Like, if we walked him on leash and another dog was walking past, it's full haunches up, snarling, teeth showing, like ripping at his harness, trying to get over to them. He lunges for faces. Like, he's just a lot. Okay. So, you know, we've tried so many times. We tried to introduce Sullivan to Brennan's dog's dad, who's like the sweetest lab. It ended in a catastrophe. We tried to introduce him to my roommate at the time's sister's dog, and it was like screaming for 5 hours straight. And I'm talking, my dog screams. He just fucking like screams. Not like a bark. A bark is like a woof woof. A scream is like, arr! Like, it's just nonstop. So it's been a lot. It's been a really long process, and it's been a lot of hard work. But like, you guys, honestly, like, I could literally cry. Like yesterday, you guys, Aaron and Lane used to be a streamer friend of Brennan's. Aaron is a cooking streamer, and they live in the Pacific Northwest around us. We went to the beach with them. They have a dog, and I asked them, I was like, we introduced Dexter and Sullivan like a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer, and it was also a catastrophe. Like, it just did not go well. Sullivan, and Dexter's this big. He's a Maltipoo. He's tiny. He's like a 10-pound dog. He's so small. Sullivan kept lunging for his face. He kept howling and screaming, and it was just not a fun time. So, you know, I was talking to Erin on the phone, and she's like, you know what, don't worry about it. We'll totally leave Dexter at home. It's not a big deal. And we're like, okay, cool. We'll do this great beach day, and we won't have to worry about Sullivan being a crazy pants. And again, Oregon coast is really different. So like, there's no one within like 100 yards of you. Like, the beaches are very open, and you have like a lot of space to yourself. So we weren't really worried about like other dogs at the beach just in general. But if Dexter was like sitting in the same proximity as Sullivan, we were worried he'd freak out. Well, my brother also came, and my bad for not explicitly saying this, but they have 2 tiny Yorkies. So they have like a 4-pound Yorkie and like a 10-pound Yorkie. They're tiny dogs. And so my brother shows up at our meeting spot, and I just hear this yapping in the car, and I'm like, oh no. He brought his dogs. And they've met Sullivan a million times. Like, I know they know Sully has issues, but again, I didn't specify. I wasn't I didn't like explicitly say or ask them not to bring their dogs. So it was no one's fault, but they showed up with their 2 dogs and I was like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? We had a total backup plan system ready and ready to go, but I was really nervous. And then I was talking to Aaron and I was like, you know what? My brother showed up with his dogs. Like, I'd feel really bad if you didn't bring Dexter. Like, please feel free to bring Dexter if you want. So now we're going to the beach. There's 5 dogs going, my 2 dogs, my brother's 2 dogs, and Dexter. And I'm just like, please, dear baby Jesus, if you could just make today not a living fucking hell and a disaster, I would really appreciate that as a birthday present. And so we gave Sullivan a full trazodone. So we've been, again, dealing and working and training Reese for about 3 years now. And he has gotten significantly better since we first got him. He can walk on leash, no problem. Like, dogs walk by our house and he doesn't like haunches up. Like, he still gets he's still very alerted and he still gets very like stimulated, like excited, and like you can tell he starts getting amped up, but it doesn't hit the full like psycho mode like he used to. Feels good to be a but yeah, we've talked to our veterinarian about his issues for a long time, and so
42 I much love chat and stuff fem heart.
She prescribed anti-anxiety medication for him when we do big events. And so we gave him we've cut his dosage down to a half because a full one really like zonks him out, and we don't always need him to be zonked out. Like, sometimes when like the cleaners come and stuff like that, having people in the house that he's not familiar with would really like amp him up. So we'd give him like half just like calm him down, but we gave him a full to go to the beach, well knowing that there was going to be 3 other dogs there. So we get to the beach and he's already like an hour into it. So like the drugs are definitely kicked in by now. And he's like starting to get wound up, but we're really managing it. So what we do for him is we like slowly reintroduce him to the situation, right? So he like saw that there were other dogs, and then we walked him away from the group, and then we brought him back, and then he like again saw that there were other dogs. He starts getting a little amped up. He starts getting like a little more like frazzled. So we walk him away from the group, and then we brought him back. And what we ended up doing was I bought these like sand stakes that are meant to like hold dogs, right? So you like screw the stake into the ground, and it has like a little like thing that you attach his leash to. And so he had it wasn't like I was holding on him. He was anchored to the sand, but he had free reign to like run out however he wanted. So we gave him like that little bit of like freedom, and he just kind of started settling after about an hour. And the dogs are so small that they did a good job of like keeping the smaller dogs like in this other area of where we were like set up. And he kept getting hyped if there was a lot of commotion around the dogs here and there, but he wasn't screaming. He wasn't whining. He wasn't like haunches up on attack mode. He was just very curious and like excitable around it. And so we were like, oh my fucking God, yes! Like, of all the scenarios that could have happened, it could have been a 10 out of 10 bad, but it was like a 4. It was like a 3.5, 4 out of 10 bad. And we were like, we'll take it. It was definitely a lot of work. We had to actively manage him a lot for the first like couple hours. And then you guys, fucking a small goddamn miracle happened. A small fucking miracle happened, okay? My brother's dog got off leash and ran straight up to Sullivan. And we didn't see it happen. It happened in like a split second. This dog is fucking tiny. I was like looking through my food basket, about to grab some potato chips, and I look up and Sullivan I'm not kidding you guys. He literally goes like, they run, meet each other, and Sullivan just goes fucking, he turns into a statue. He just stands there so intense, but he's standing there and not fucking doing anything bad. He's just like, I think he's kind of in shock. We all, like, literally everyone took a collective like moment, right? Sophie runs up to him and like literally their noses are touching, nose to nose. And Sullivan just goes straight, like straight legged. His tail is straight in the air, but he's frozen, doesn't move an inch. And we're all like, oh my God, something bad's about to happen, right? And so like, this is like all happening within like 5 seconds. And we all react at the same time. Like Brennan and I grab Sullivan's like leash and we like pull him back. And Sophie, I think, realizes like, oops, I shouldn't be here. And so she runs off. But we were all like, oh my God, what just happened? Sullivan didn't go into attack mode. His haunches stayed down. He didn't bark and he didn't whine when they met. Sophie left the area and went back to where her parents were, and then Sullivan got really amped up, right? He started whining and he started kind of freaking out because he knew, oh my gosh, I just met another dog. Oh yeah, I smell the dog. The dog's here. 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 That's how his mind works. So we took him off the stake and we walked him away, and he settled down a little bit, and we came back and we were like, that could have been really bad. But he didn't do what he normally does. Like, I'm telling you guys, it's so clear. It's so crazy how big of a difference that moment was. Because 2 years ago, it would have been a fucking disaster. Sullivan would have had that dog's head in his mouth. Like, I'm not kidding you. So the fact that he didn't do any of his normal, like, aggression symptom, like behavior was shocking. So fast forward like another hour or two, and like, he's been a good boy this whole time. Courtney, my brother's fiance, walks over and she's like, I feel comfortable. I'll take full responsibility. She's like, I want to see what happens. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm holding Sophie. Like, I think it'll be okay. And Brennan and I are freaking out. We're like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't think this is a good idea. I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, are you sure? I don't want anything bad to happen to your dog. And she's like, no, you guys, I'm sure. So we're just like, oh, okay. Oh my God. So like, Reese and Lane are holding on to like both Sullivan's harness and his leash. And everyone is like collectively like, I don't know what's about to fucking happen. And Courtney, God bless her soul, just takes Sophie, turns her around, and shoves her ass into Sullivan's face. And she's like, good boy, it's okay. And I'm like, and everyone's like,
G-Day Steph. Hope little one is well.
And he's just fucking going to town.
Love to you both from Australia.
Smelling her butt. He's just like, right? And he's like, he's definitely amped, but he's not. He's wagging his tail and he has no haunches up. Okay. And like, those are two signs that he's like not in anxiety mode. And so he's definitely like really excited, and he's like kind of whiny, and he doesn't quite know what's happening. And she just holds fucking Sophie there, butt ass out, just letting him sniff away. And he keeps like going away, like excited, but then coming back and sniffing and then going. And then it's totally fine. Like nothing happened. And we were like, what the fuck? And so then Aaron was like, hey guys, I really want to try and reintroduce Sullivan to Dexter. And at this point in time, there's only been one other dog than Reese that Sullivan's been okay with. And that's Remy, my roommate's old dog, who's an Australian Shepherd, looks very similar to Reese and is a female. So we were like, I think maybe it's like a dominance thing too, right? So like these are female dogs that he's okay with. and he's had a historical like bad encounter with Dexter. So we were like, fuck, like, I mean, okay. But we were freaking out, right? And again, Erin does the same thing. She goes and grabs Dexter and fucking ass first, puts his butt right in Sullivan's face, and definitely different reaction. Okay. Sullivan, if he was like a 5 amped with Sophie, he was a 7.5 amped with Dexter. Like, it definitely, like, male to male has more effect on him for sure, but it was only a slightly more amped version of what happened with Sophie. And so again, how we've kind of trained Sullivan to settle is we'll walk him away from the scenario and then reintroduce him. Well, I was like, well, there's a lot of people around, there's a lot of other dogs around, like, let's walk both Dexter and Sullivan together, with Dexter in front so Sullivan can actively smell his butt, and we'll walk him away from the group of people. So it's, again, less territory, less stuff like that. And so we did it, and you guys, it fucking worked. It worked. By the end of the night, Dexter and Sullivan were hanging out together. Like they were completely fine, sharing balls, walking around. They were just interacting like normal dogs, like completely ass normal interactions. No more hyped, no more amped, nothing. Just he was reacting to Dexter the way he reacts to Reese. And we were just like fucking mind blown. Like, I don't know how else to like tell you guys how proud I am and of how far Sully's come, but it was so like everyone, like the entire group was like emotional. Erin and Lane were like emotional. Me and Brennan were emotional. Like Vern was emotional. We were all so proud of him. He's come so far. Like it was a night and day difference between what has happened 2 years ago and what happened yesterday. Definitely he still has stuff to work on. I definitely don't think it would have been as smooth if he wasn't on medication, but fuck, dude, it was incredible. It was incredible. And Erin and Lane take Dexter everywhere, and to like now know that they can come hang out with us and bring Dexter with them, and it's not going to be a huge issue anymore. And the hopefulness that I have that he'll be able to learn to have great encounters with more dogs moving forward was so huge, especially because Rick and Haley are talking about moving out here, and they have Nova and they have Vala. Like, it would be devastating if their dogs and our dogs didn't get along, you know? And now that there's this huge progress, I have such high hope that the four dogs can all be best friends and can all hang out and shit like that. And it was just like the most precious, most amazing, like proud mama experience ever.